Hello, we're back. Welcome to Encounter Roleplay and the wonderful Mutants and Mastermind 40k universe Inquisitor. Today we're going to be doing a little quick Q&A while the wonderful Bastian is getting in from work. So if you have any questions for us, please do pop them in the Twitch chat. While you are frantically typing all of your questions, I have some questions. Crew, there is Olavis Toolbox. When you first heard about the Inquisitor game, what really got you inspired to play? And if we start with Jason and then go to Pope, then go to Cleric, so we have a nice little order. Jason, what inspired you?
Well, initially it was sort of just a general interest in the setting. I've always been a fan of 40k, but what inspired me to sort of come aboard, not only the community that Encounter Roleplay sort of engenders and fosters, but just as soon as I really sort of learned who was running it, learned who was playing in it, like I sort of recognized that, oh, I should really be a part of this, huh? And just as soon as we sort of hit the ground running with our character concepts, as soon as we started really talking and shooting ideas and bouncing them off the wall to see what sticks, I just got caught up in that sort of zeal, and yeah, I just found myself immersed so quickly with, mainly from the creative energy that was just sort of fostered. I already loved the setting, and loving the people is just a bonus in my eyes.
What about you, Pope?
Oh, well, the Warhammer 40k universe has been a part of my life and the household that I live in now for at least 5 years. At least. Playing games from Dark Heresy, Rogue Trader, Black Crusade, that's the current iteration. Playing around with the new game systems coming out there from like Cubicle 7 with as well as the older stuff from Fantasy Flight, and fans of the miniatures games who was just like, okay, sign me up. I am here to be a part of this wonderfully, delightfully twisted, dark world that you can't help but either stumble upon terror or humor.
And Cleric, same question for you.
Well, let's see. After watching the... Oh, I apologize for my voice, everyone. I spent the weekend screaming. After watching the Warhammer Fantasies 2E and 4E that Jim Davis was jamming, really kind of discovered a love for this grim dark. It took me a while to get into it, but the more I watched, the more I was really pulled into it, and you were a big part of that, Charlie. And then when this opportunity came up, having seen the two-shot using the dark matter system in the Rogue Trader, I just was on board. And as far as inspiration goes, I knew right away that I wanted to play a Sister of Battle as I was reading through the different options. And I didn't want to go Hospitaller. I play a lot of clerics. Go figure. And I really like the fighters. So I thought, oh well, I'll just go. I'll go Sister of Battle. And who do we think of? We think holy female. Oh, Joan of Arc. So that's, there's that devout, unquestioning faith that leads her into battle. And eventually I'll get this flaming sword.
I'm sure it won't be too long until you get a flaming sword, especially with a Incinerant on board who I imagine is going to set fire to a few things.
I mean, maybe. It's bold of you to assume. I mean, I know that's my job description, but I mean, I have layers beyond that.
We're going to stock up on Prometheum.
Yeah.
So I missed a lot of the early chats because I kind of joined the crew pretty late in the day. Who was the first one who had Bastion? Wild Bastion appears. Who was the first one who really was like, I know exactly what I want to play? I'm imagining that was either Pope or Jason, right?
I think the first in chat was actually like Jason going on and immediately windmill slamming some sort of cleric, someone from the ecclesiarchy. You knew immediately that was where you were going. You just didn't know where you were going to land.
Yeah, that's sort of a preacher kind of character. Speaking of inspirations, I suppose, kind of delving into the character inspirations, I wasn't really a fan of preacher just generally. As a preacher's kid, it's sort of like conflicted feelings with certain media. But as soon as I sort of learned more about it, Preacher being the Grant Ellis comic series and the subsequent AMC TV show, as soon as I read more about Jesse Custer and sort of the themes that were explored in that definitely was something that I had wanted to be a part of, that I wanted to sort of harken back to. And with the Incinerant specifically, I had I had two main inspirations, one being one that was pointed out to me and one that I had in mind. One being Damian Lewis, the actor. He did a marvelous rendition of Mark Antony's speech, really heady, creative stuff. But the other one that was brought up by somebody in the party, most graciously, Cleric of Cord pointed out that I kind of accidentally threw a little bit of Stephen Fry into Vasily's character. And yeah, I just, as soon as I sort of saw that connection, I was like, oh, okay, so it is kind of fitting that a world that is absurd as 40K would have somebody who perhaps is a little absurd themselves. So, yeah.
If you've seen Fry and Laurie, that was where it was.
Yeah, yeah. Although I will say that you, Pope, you came out the gate with a fully fleshed character. So, I mean, if we're talking about like it's the first to propose versus the one who got there first, I definitely have to throw in my vote for you, because you just came up with such a interesting concept that was executed like that.
In reading any bit about the lore, and for as long as I've played, there is this underlying theme of humanity is a machine, and wherever there is humanity, there is bureaucracy, and there's always going to be a long-suffering bureaucrat somewhere. Like the administratum is just the DMV to the extreme level, with all the absurdity and darkness of the 40K universe. So you have this pomp and circumstance, but it's still, I need you to fill out 4012/B in triplicate, and I need that by tomorrow at noon. You get there at noon with all your files, and at 5 p.m. you're able to turn them in.
And an army may march on its stomach, but it runs on red tape.
Yep. So praise the Emperor and pass the ammunition.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. When I started researching the Sisters of Battle, the different orders, and I came across the story or the lore of St. Catherine and the martyred ladies, and then realizing that these were how. Let me see if I can find it. I wrote it down somewhere. That they are constantly avenging her martyred death. That they have to them, mercy is a fast death or a clean death. That's the mercy that's the Emperor's mercy, according to these ladies. And I really wanted to put that kind of hardcore into playing her.
I think that's a good place to leave our Q&A for today, because I think we're about to see these wonderful characters in action. So before we dive into Inquisitor, our 40k Mutants and Masterminds game, let me just remind you once more about our sponsors. The wonderful Tabletop Loot, doing their great dice. You can enter for a chance to win great dice every 20 retweets, every 5 subscribers on the channel, as well as head over to their shop and go and check them out and maybe buy some for yourself. We also have Fantasy Grounds, which is our virtual tabletop of choice, which we will be using today to roll all of our rolls, and hopefully the odds will be in my favor once more, and my brain won't pop and warp and twist and all the horrible things that can happen to a psycho when she goes too far. And finally, of course, Whaling Games, from which you can get up to 20% off the regular retail price. They are UK based, which is really great if you're looking for cheap shipping here. And they do Warhammer 40k minis, DM screens, all of that great gaming accessory stuff. So head over and check them out. If you're watching us on YouTube, don't forget you can watch the show live every Monday at 2 p.m. Eastern, which is 7 p.m. UK, which is all of the other times, all around the places. And we'd love to have you here in chat. But if not, leave us some nice comments on YouTube, because that's always fun to read. So without further ado, over to our game master, Bastian.
Other side. Like, yeah, thank you. Evening. I just came off work, so it's ran a bit late, but it's great that you guys got to talk a bit about the characters. We will, of course, start with a recap, and Cleric of Courts, would you like to do the recap?
Sure.
Yeah. Okay.
Sorry, I have to do Twitch chat on my phone, so it's like
yeah.
All right, let me notebook.
Because last week we did things, and this week will be other things.
Let's see. Let's see. There was interrogation of the prisoner. Everybody got a chance to interrogate the prisoner. Kipkin apparently very much enjoys doing autopsies. That seemed to be a thrill of his. And we were discovering things like the bodies were powdered to make them fit into the world where we found them. And they had similar tattoos and were all shaved bald. The prisoner didn't give us up much information, and the Inquisitor decided to have some fun with him, set him running about the ship, in which Vasily and Kipkin probably gave chase until Safenia just kind of hamstrung him. Then she gave him a quick death. What else? We decided to go to the planet. We found out the planet they're from. We decided to head there. And the Inquisitor got inquisitive with our navigator. And when we arrived at our destination, we discovered that the Inquisitor's head, or not the Inquisitor's head exploded, the navigator's head had exploded. Something like that. And Kipkin is in a tizzy about this, and everybody looks like our former prisoners on this space station, and Safenia figures we should just burn the whole place down. Not the planet, the space station.
Yeah. So we're on the Thalanum system now. I think I don't know if you updated the Twitch title, because I might have mistyped that in the Excel earlier. So we're on we're in orbit above Thalanum. We are docked at the space station, and Kifkin got out his message. And just as he came back with the news that everybody looked like the cultists. Oh, well, good Charlie. Everybody looked like the cultists. That's where we cut off the session. So I'd say, Kifkin, do you remember your line?
Okay, like the I understand we want to burn everything to the ground, but we need to investigate. They all look the same. It's bad. Cataclysmically bad. Oh, but on top of the station, we're going to have to go to the planet. I don't like running.
Stefania looks at Kipkin and goes, that is obvious.
Thanks. But, excuse me. No, the request for the new navigator has been sent out by the astropath, who is bored and they don't want absolutely nothing to do with. Well, because technically he has no eyes and is creepy. But no, this is a processing plant for the chemicals that are in the valleys on planet, and all the people there are shaved heads, have the same tat. This explains the acid burns on subjects, as well as the ramblings of the prisoner we had. Pulls out datapad. Yeah, let me see here. The quote was, skies can fall, and they had these acid burns, which, as I stated before, but I'm not going to get into as much details this time because I don't necessarily want a hand clapped on me. Extreme pain, especially in a place that has been desecrated, can act as a channel for the occult. And so we need to not only find who amongst those within the processing plant have been corrupted, but also the actual site of their conversion and communion, and destroy it.
Sounds simple enough.
We question them one by one until somebody tells us. And once they've told us, then we destroy it.
I'm not a great card player, but I'm figuring that, as soon as a hand gets played, those that are part of this cult will start moving, either to protect themselves or against us. Against us would be the useful thing, but to protect themselves, all of a sudden we could see somebody who's just hopping on one of these other ships that are coming in to collect all this acid and just spirit away, spreading this cult. We need to be quiet about this.
We don't let anyone leave. Until this is solved. We cannot let the corruption spread.
It is within the Inquisitor's powers to interdict, but it's also revealing yourselves.
Well, I believe
Paint
we've
a
already
target on us.
revealed ourselves.
The target is already painted.
I guess.
Shut it down. Investigate everyone. Find the source. And then destroy the nest.
DM, question for the GM.
Yeah, go ahead, Jason.
Would I know anything about given my time of service with the, hang on, I know their formal name, I just need to find it, the Adeptus Militarum, the Imperial Guard.
Yeah.
Is there anything that I know about their procedures when it comes to rooting out heresy, like anything that I would have learned from a commissar, or anything that I would have sort of read or heard about during my time?
As much as you know about rooting out heresy, there's basically two approaches. The first one is where you're in an actual war fighting armies of the damned, so either incursions or actual chaos and demons. But anything you've read about that is mostly about shielding yourself off from any corruption and accepting your faith when it's time. And the The second one is oh wait, that's both in one already. Like, doesn't really matter what taint you're facing. It's mostly focused at keeping to yourself, finding the camaraderie, singing songs together, rehearsing the prayers, and just following the example of the conscience.
Right. Obviously, always hated the singing part, but
Yeah, there's not so much anything you've learned there from finding and rooting it out, but other than standard tactics.
Kivkin, is there a significant ecclesiarchal presence on this planet?
A tomb world, as defined within the Administratum, is a sepulchral world, is where pilgrims, loyal citizens of the Imperium, especially those with money, are interred. In order for a tomb world to actually be granted the status, it must have no less than 2 relics of an Imperial Saint, if not the actual final resting place of an Imperial Saint, which in the Administorum Sanctions, Section 3C, no, this place is considered a holy site, and in order to perform any sort of maneuvers, even, setting foot on it, if you're trying to not inter someone, can cause much in the way of Imperial red tape. Actual military maneuvers, unless the place is being attacked by certain enemies of the Imperium, is very hands-off. That's why I was able to finesse things when we actually even got in system, making certain that we can inter, or at least pretend to inter, some of the bodies we have on board, thus getting us down to the planet without any sort of problem. But again, the Inquisitor has a lot of leeway and sway within the realms of Imperial law. But again, it's whether you want to play this as close to the vest as possible, Inquisitor, or if you want to just go in guns blazing, as it were. But an exterminatus would take me at least a month's time to get cleared and sent off.
And in that month, what horrors might spill from the warp?
Precisely.
My Lady Inquisitor.
No, if this was just like an Imperial hive world, I mean, I could file paperwork after the fact, but because there's actual, saintly relics on planet, I have to file it before we start orbital bombardment.
Pope, you can roll me. Yes, you got something history related.
Oh yeah. Let's.
You get some to give you some specifics about this world you might already know.
Would you like occult or Inquisition?
You can roll the Inquisition one.
Okay.
Any record about this world you might know.
And actually, as he had mentioned, that the Shrine World could have important persons of faith specifically. Could I roll some sort of ecclesiarchal lore to see if there's like somebody important here that I would have heard of?
You got a specific one about it anyway, so yeah. What's your total? By the way, everyone is at 2 hero points today, again, because we ended at a good stopping point.
Awesome.
An 8, you said?
Yeah.
In terms of specific Inquisitor actions here, you don't know any history. About what's your total, Jason?
29.
29. What you know about this world is that it doesn't have any saints. It does have some relics, which are unnamed, but they are in vaults here, and you know that this planet is designated as a tomb world because it's apart from being the mining world that it is, it holds a lot of ruins of ages gone by, significant to the Imperium, and that's why they labeled it like this. There's a small ecclesiarchic contingent here, but they're mostly for the buildings that are actually preserved. They are there to keep them preserved and guard the actual folds. But in terms of faith, it's not too significant. In terms of items on the world, it might be.
Suppose every
correct. Continue, Vasily.
Suppose every cog has its place in the machine. There's no bodies of the saints here. Old relics of ages gone by.
And even if there were, correct me if I'm wrong, Kivkin, but didn't the living Saint Celestine fight on the homeworld of our Saint Catherine, where she found her tomb and recovered her armor? Can we not battle? Is it not my duty as a sister?
There's different rules for different sets of military arms within the whole of the Imperium. And as for the incidents with designation Saint Celestine, she typically acts, and then all of us bureaucrats have to file paperwork after the fact. One of great resentment within certain halls. But for the most part, when it comes to any sort of action within an Imperial tomb world, especially by the Astra Militarum, a lot of paperwork.
But we are not the Astra Militarum.
I know we're the Inquisition, but even still, Inquisitors can become cross with other Inquisitors, and an inquisitorial civil war usually takes out entire systems. I'm trying to keep that from happening, because all it takes is two, no offense, Inquisitor, pointy hats with very tight pants that look at your actions cross, and all of a sudden we can have a very big problem.
Stephania's grip on her sword handle is tightening and loosening and tightening and loosening.
You know, we have to... The paperwork is filed and everything is done to make sure everything is above board, so no one can possibly misconstrue the actions that are being done here.
At the risk of allowing these cultists to spread.
There's
It's almost as if the bureaucracy wants that to happen.
Not really. Remember, the loss of an the loss of an imperial hive world is considered a rounding error in most circles. I mean, most forms of exterminatus are perfectly fine and sanctioned, but when it comes to something that is designated an imperial tomb world by the laws of the High Ecclesiarch, is why we have to file this. So if you have a problem with the Lord of Terra, I can give you the forms to file against him.
My problem is the timing of the filing.
And my problem is all this talk. Lady Inquisitor, I turn to her. This problem requires action. You, out of all of us, have the authority to define that action.
I have been very interested in all that you have said, and you have all said rather a lot. First, let us address the question of whether or not the Inquisition can do what it deems best. You must remember, the Inquisition acts on behalf of the Emperor, acts on a higher order than any ecclesiastical order. Those who questioned the Emperor, and she looks very fixedly at Vasily. not forgetting their conversation before we jumped warp last time.
No response. Just sort of like, yeah.
Furthermore, I will remind you that the worker ant is one of the strongest creatures in existence. Itself can carry a large load, but in combination, it could carry an entire world. We must move to stop the heresy. You are correct, Savenia. But we must do so cautiously. To awaken the hive could lead to our drowning, especially since we are stranded, as you are so concerned about, Kifkin.
Yes, without being resupplied with a new navigator, we'd be traveling at sublight or blindly through the warp, which is usually a death sentence. So it would be best to find the heretics quietly, purge them quietly, and find the place on the planet and quietly excise it from said planet, so that our hopeful delivery of a new navigator is not hindered by these heretics.
Can we not
Focusing-
requisition a navigator from one of the other ships?
On the now, we have a body to inter. That is our designated business and something that we must complete. If while we are there, we discover useful information, then we may proceed.
I will see to it that our shuttle is prepared. I would suggest everyone else get their gear prepped. I will also prep our body.
Thank you, Kifkin.
No problem. And Hurley runs out.
Vasily, can you remind me what you look like?
Flat face, sort of aquiline nose. I originally imagined
How
him as
much
sort
hair
of
do you have?
a lot. I mean, probably about this length, maybe a bit longer actually, but it's shock white with sort of amber eyes offsetting it.
Tell me, Vasily, how attached are you to your hair?
An odd question, my lady Inquisitor, but not entirely attached, I suppose.
Good.
Why?
Have you ever heard the story of a wolf in sheep's clothes?
I
Have
have.
you not noticed the strangeness of our cultists? Obscuring who they are with powder.
I've taken note of it.
Good. Then you can replicate the trick.
That story. The wolf in sheep's clothes. Doesn't turn out exactly well for the sheep, does it?
It's a good job you're not the sheep. And that you're a very smart wolf. No? You asked that I were more precise in letting you know my plan. Consider this your notification.
It is very much appreciated. Finally,
Sophenia,
some bloody honesty. Just go off and prepare.
would you
Madam
kindly
Inquisitor?
prepare any armaments that we may be permitted? Check in with Kipkin for the paperwork matters.
Yes,
Supple
Madam Inquisitor.
is preferable.
Indeed, Madam.
We are an inquisition in mourning.
Understood, Madam Inquisitor.
And so that's our plan.
About face, out goes wandering after Kipkin first.
So for the GM, our plan is to go down to the planet. We have Vasily looking a member of this society returned with us, some sort of envoy maybe. We have the body of the navigator to inter, and we're going to go fishing.
Okay.
Since our official business is to inter the body, that's what we're going to go do.
Okay. Are you taking any other than your standard equipment with you down? Is there anything new added to stuff in between? I missed. I don't think, right? So right.
Unless it would be normal to have additional members of our envoy, we would maybe take a couple of, I don't know, servitors to do servanty kind of jobs, I guess.
To carry the bodies.
Both
Yeah, we'll probably have that
engineering,
sort of thing.
industrial grade will not be a problem. As well as we'll have probably some flight crew for the shuttle. More than likely, one Arsman as a gunner and a co-pilot. I can fly the thing down, not well, but with a co-pilot, better. Unless someone else would like to pilot the shuttle. And that would be probably our retinue, keeping things small unless you want a larger presence.
I'm assuming that your shuttle is Imperial standard issue, non-marked, because
unmarked gun cutter.
Yeah, exactly.
So its armament is relatively light. It would have 2 twin-linked heavy bolters, and that's it. It's primarily there for hauling people, personnel, and light cargo.
Yeah. And in terms of geographical locations, there is, well, the space station is in geostationary orbit, roughly above the capital. The capital holding the governor's mansion, a ecclesiastic outpost. Well, outpost could be named like that in the larger scale of things. So their local headquarters. Most of the worker housings and some refineries as well. And for the rest around the planet are scattered smaller hubs with intermediary refineries and some housings. The tombs or vaults are scattered over the planet, and their exact location is not in the maps.
Would the station provide information on where we should be going with the body? I would assume there's some sort of assignment system, or is it just find a spot?
If it's just to get rid of bodies, you would go to any probably to the headquarters of the local headquarters of the ecclesiarchy.
Remind me, Kifkin, who did we tell them we were burying?
We did not give them a proper designation. Through obfuscation, we are considered a rogue trader vessel, interring probably pilgrims for a high price. That's an easy cover story I was able to just cobble together. And considering our eclectic retinue, rogue trader is a legitimate way of just sort of hand-waving all of our ridiculousness. Rogue traders have a reputation of being eccentric. And doing a run to a tomb world for some pilgrim who had more wealth to give to their interment than their children is often a thing a rogue trader will cash in on.
You can actually land your gun cutter at the headquarters or the spaceport, whatever you prefer.
Perhaps we should tell them it is the navigator we are interring.
Okay.
As well as a pilgrim. We have bodies. She looks around.
Sure. That just means I need other things prepped. But how many corpses are we transporting?
Well, we have, 4? The navigator is here.
Ones and pieces we've got 6 total on ice right now.
We'll take 4. We will state that 1 is a navigator, which gives us a higher status, a higher priority. As you emphasized when you were telling me about how much of a pain in the ass it is going to be to get another one.
I would suggest that we hold on to the navigator's body to give back to his.
We are keeping the body.
I can mock up the one that is primarily intact and I've just performed an autopsy on that isn't the purple cultist to be a facsimile of a navigator. And then I guess I'll just take the burnt ones.
And put them in a box. It's very simple. Go to cargo, find a box, put the body in the box. If people ordain themselves worthy to peer at the remains of the dead, they are disgusting, and I will have questions for them.
Yes, Inquisitor.
Good.
So is there any kind of message you sent to the headquarters before you...
I imagine we would send a message to the headquarters letting them know that we will be interring the remains of our navigator, and as such expect the appropriate assistance.
They acknowledge and write that there will be a reception party with suitable transport at their landing pad. Anything else you want to do before you head down? Shave your head, maybe, Jason?
I mean, it might be advisable considering. Yeah, I'd probably just take a pair of shears to it and get it as close to the appearance of the bodies as I can.
Okay.
Don't know what to do about the white dust.
We'll
figure it out.
I have a very sharp blade, Vasily. You'd like me to shave that completely?
I think there's a moment of like he'd probably refuse, but then looking again at like the sister of battle that stands at full foot with the power armor on above him, he'd be like, "Thank you, sister. I so do appreciate your enthusiasm in furthering the cause of." I'll just bloody do it and just sit back down and await the sharp blade to just scrape across the skull.
All right. So
I think additionally the navigator thing would be mentioned as a passing, but Matilda would be putting focus on one of the other bodies to suggest the pilgrim was important and wealthy, and like try to put emphasis on that. So that's the information that gets passed around, like who is this pilgrim, blah, 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 rather than the navigators going in the ground, which we're using as a pass key to get into other areas.
Yep. Okay.
Considering Kipkin went to a lot of effort to keep the fact our navigator was dead quiet.
Mm-hmm.
Also, would you like me to use some of my inks to fake a tattoo on Vasily so he blends in better? Because they all had the tattoos.
Yeah. I think that's just a requirement at this point.
Oh, good. It's been a while since I've forged art before.
Don't say that. Don't say that. Please, don't say that. Say that you've done this a million times.
Well, no, yeah, I used to have to, as a lad, copy down, things that were for documentation. That was my job. I was an illuminator. But haven't had to do that because I've been primarily filing for the past decade and a half. But it shouldn't be too difficult.
Rolls a 1.
Yeah. Let's go and have a look at how well you do with that, right?
I took Jack of all trades for a reason.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, looking at your other skills, I'd say it's a jack of all trades role.
Yeah. So I will use one of my hero points for this one. So let's see how this goes. Yeah, that wasn't that great. Let's see how the other one goes. All right, that's better. So that'll be a 13.
Okay.
Okay.
When you look at copying the tattoo, they're almost like a barcode, and they're all very similar, but different. So, are you one-on-one copying one of them?
Yes, the one that I actually excised.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to use that and directly copy that one.
Okay. Yeah. So, I'll note that down. One thing you might have forgotten about last time is that the atmosphere is quite noxious here. Like there's acidic
So where are gas?
gases. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming you're all bringing rebreathers, and Savannah is. Are you going down in armor?
Oh yes, she's going down in armor, and with the helmet down. So yeah.
Okay. Then, if there's nothing else, we'll just proceed
Matilda,
to.
for her part, is doing her best impression of a rogue trader. Kind of brown leather, long jacket, simple clothing underneath.
Mhm.
Oh,
Gas mask.
Inquisitor, you actually would want to be more gaudy.
No,
Rogue traders
Kifkin.
are.
Kifkin, that is your job. You are the rogue trader today.
Oh crap! Sorry.
You have been doing all the communications with the station. It made the most sense to me.
Usually I try and pass myself off as a seneschal, but okay, we'll do this.
As you say, we are very eclectic and eccentric. And what was the other word you used to describe my choice of crew?
Conspicuous.
Not today.
Okay. Well, let's see what. I've got jewelry here somewhere. I think it's in this rope. Okay. All right. I'll grab the mace, pistol, and I need something truly obnoxious. Do we have, like, just not very useful, but like an ostentatious saber lying around somewhere?
Well, you have an army full of
Stefania's
low-spec
voice.
weapons. One of the old Inquisitor used to hold a small sword collection. Like, just any world, he just picked up a sword, so you can just probably grab one of them.
Delightful. I'm going to look for the ones with the dullest edge and the most filigree, and I'm going to take 4 of them and just strap them all over. And I need a really big hat.
This I can help with. And Matilda proudly comes down. You've never seen her be like this proud and kind of out there. She proudly comes down holding this large hat, which has a huge wide brim, a large leather kind of bucket shape on the top with a buckle. It is a very old hat. Do not damage it.
I will do my absolute best, but this screams, I have more wealth than sense. Okay, I can do this now.
Savannah just is like, her eyes go ping, and she takes a step back.
I thought it screamed more, I am a Soul Calibur 6 character.
More wealth than sense. But no, rogue traders are notorious for wearing epaulets, giant hats, having more weapons on them than anyone should need. And most of them are good.
I think of one more thing. And she goes back into her, she's got this trunk, this full of hats in her room. And she goes in and she pulls the feather off of one of these hats. And it's like one of these. It's a black peacock feather, and she'll tuck that into the band on the hat.
Perfect. All right. Thank you, Inquisitor. I will do my best to be convincing. All right.
If in doubt, Kifkin, just keep talking. People stop listening eventually.
Oh, if I'm doing that, I need one last thing. And he runs off, and in his little like forgery kit, he takes a bunch of powder and just like smacks his face, and then puts like 2 dots of rouge. There. Excellent.
I just imagine. Good.
It's a good thing Sophia's helmet is down and she's not broadcasting because she's dying of laughter inside it.
This is how nobles dress, right?
When I
Indeed.
see them, they usually scream a little bit more, but you'll do for now.
I just imagine like this absurd, like resplendently dressed, fucking fake rogue trader
I'm
juxtaposed
imagining-
with me, like the freshly shaved bald head, like war boy from Mad Max. Like what
I'm
the fuck?
imagining like Mr. T in a giant hat with like the feather and the rouge. And
Then the
we
4
get on
dwarves.
our ship with our buddies, and then the 3 of us.
And the Sister of Battle following. Adding legitimacy to the fact that this pilgrim gets to be interred on this world.
Do you at least wear like a cloak over your armor, or is it like all open scriptures and?
Because they're burying a pilgrim, and she's giving it the respect it deserves. So she will have the scriptures open. She's got scriptures written out on the shrouds of the bodies and on the boxes and everything to make this appear like this was an important pilgrim.
It will take around 2 to 3 hours to get into the proper deorbit to the right location with the shuttle without forcing any emergency landings and risk burning up in the atmosphere. There's a light, very clouded atmosphere before you can actually see the planet, and as soon as you come through it, you notice that it's mostly barren. A lot of gray tones, a little bit of earthy tones here and there, almost no vegetation, and where there is vegetation, it doesn't have any leaves on it. In between the mountains, there's seas of a liquid, a greenish, really light green tone to it, and there's a lot of, even from a distance, you can see a lot of movement of vessels. There's smoke pipes whenever you come over a factory location. And as you approach the capital, it has a big cathedral in the middle, which you've seen from the maps is the governor's, the administratum building, and it's a mix between more modern Gothic, typical imperial buildings, and older, almost concrete buildings with almost no decorations in between. And then in a circle around that are a lot of hive-like buildings, living quarters, and at the edge there are many refinery factories full of pipes, smokestacks, and pipes leading out to the fields, over the fields, and in between the acid fields. And you land at a smaller cathedral, which on the landing pad, where you can see a small delegation of around 20 priests. You can call them priests. They're wearing adored robes. They have servitors with several carts, motorized carts, and there are also a couple, 5 Arbites standing next to them, and they wait for your arrival. So, as your vessel sets down and gets moored properly, one of the priests and one of the Arbites approaches the vessel and waits for you to come out.
Getting everything together, including the data pads, and tucking them under. Having the gangplank lower, and then, as flouncily as possible, just like going down the gangplank and yes. Oh, fabulous! Thank you for coming.
All of the priests are wearing rebreathers as well, but they do have open filters, so it's mostly to assist with the oxygen and keep out the bad air as much as possible. And the Arbites greet you. Greetings. I'm Donny. Welcome to our planet. You can. These are our priests. What? Yeah, and the priest steps forward. He makes a small bow, and so you bring the body of a pilgrim.
Oh yes, we have a pilgrim, quite wealthy, and we also have this member of a navigator house that wanted to be buried, that we just managed to grab on the way. No, but thank you so much for this reception. I really wasn't expecting it. It's so good to see all of you. I am Antonius Danica of the Danica Dynasty. Pleasure. And we are here to inter these 2 very refined gentlemen in your sacred soil. By all means, just please direct us to the nearest mausoleum complex that we may get this sacred duty done.
Vasily's eye is just twitching throughout this whole thing.
The priest gestures to the servitors with motorized carts, and they drive forward to receive the casket. Caskets? Yeah, that's the word.
Yeah, caskets. Yes, and Snaps mutters something in binary and has their servitors deliver the caskets to their servitors. So it's a servitor via servitor exchange.
What a delightful planet this is, don't you think?
The priest looks
Look at
up.
all the not really trees.
The priest looks up. Well, it wasn't my first choice of world, but it will have to do. Not too much passes here. We don't get many visitors.
Sounds like my first marriage.
Shall we proceed inside so we can get these dreaded masks off?
Oh, most definitely. We can go through and do, holding up the data pads, business.
Stephania's just standing impassive with the bodies, and she follows him from servitors, very closely observing the transfer to make sure that they are handled with the proper respect and nothing is disturbed. And
yeah, at the caskets, the other priests standing around, they help with loading the caskets onto the bearers, and they form a procession around it, very stately, and it goes step by step. It takes a long time. First, you go into a little bit something of a What's the word? My English today, they're letting me down. It doesn't matter. You go inside, and they ask, "Do you want to?" The head priest he asks, "Do you want to accompany the bodies, or want any refreshments? Have a talk? Have a prayer in the chapel? To arrange the burial?" He looks at you, waiting.
No, we'll go inside so that these wonderful people can sit down and make sure that we have all the paperwork in order. Then afterwards, now that I see what day is an arduous process,
Prayer would be appropriate.
Yes, prayers, and then accompanying them to their final resting place. But there's an order to these things. But first, refreshments sound lovely. I always like to try new cuisine. So let's go on in. I have all the forms here, all settled away by my seneschal. He is a painfully pale lad, doesn't like stepping on dirt. You know, void-born and all those superstitions. Let's get going.
I'm assuming that was reference to me or somebody else, or
Somebody's
just
probably
some
still aboard the
imaginary. Somebody boarded a ship, probably. So wait, I'm going undercover. I understand this. Where am I exactly?
Well, do you follow them inside, or do you actually wander off the landing pad into the compound? Or do you stay behind in the shuttle and wait for them to go away? That's,
I think I would probably try to sort of look and divine what Matilda would want me to do. But if there's no indication that I should be with them, I'll just go off back into the compound to try and do some information gathering while this absurd distraction is taking place.
I imagine we would have discussed it on the ship on the way down, and Matilda would have offered you the choice of staying with us or almost acting like someone the rogue traders have like roped into something, and you're like stowing away back to your home planet here. It's up to you on how you want to play, but that would be her suggestion of a gambit. You know, the lost son returning home.
So glad to see that every contingency has been accounted for, Lady Inquisitor.
You're very welcome.
Grumble, grumble, grumble. Go back to the compound.
Yeah. So as the officials go inside, the co-pilot basically arranges for the vessel to be moored down, refueled, and he has one or two servants from the spaceship with him as well to help with that. And as soon as that's done, they also head off into the compound to have a drink or find a bar, unless you specifically prohibited them, as the crew does, and they go ashore, so to say. And that's a good moment for Vasily to accompany them off the landing pad. So I'd say going inside the building first would be the good way to go. The caskets, they are basically in the cargo hold. As soon as you come in from the landing pad, there's a cargo bay where they store shipments, and for now they are there in a segmented off section, so that it's not in between the supplies, and it's they put several two or three priests stay there to hold watch, and the head priest leads you into a chamber, basically like a big meeting chamber with the walls are adorned with pictures of saints and scriptures, and which Donnie follows you inside as well, and he offers you refreshments. They take off their gas masks as soon as they're inside. Their rebreathers. Donnie himself is looks like he's blonde. He's muscular. He's clearly been with the Arbeit for quite some time, and he wears the rank of sergeant on his sleeve. And the priest is an old man. Both of them are clean-shaved face, but they do have hair. The priest has long hair, and Donnie keeps it short. Then they sit down and offer you drinks, and they stay silent.
Oh,
They stare at the rogue trader.
Oh, thank you. This is lovely. I always want to try at least a sip of local brew wherever I go. Downs it as quick as you can. Whatever taste.
Standard wine.
Oh.
The Emperor?
Okay. Oh, the Emperor.
The Emperor protects, of course.
And wealthy pilgrims.
Oh, most definitely.
On this, what was his name again?
The pilgrim. Yes.
Just servitor scroll.
Yes. I believe, according to this data pad, the wealthy gentleman was from the far reaches. Someone who was a scion of one of the subtercates of Winterscale. Very, very famous rogue trader, but big family, much wealth, and wanted to be interred far away from his filthy, sinful family as possible. Quite the devout one. And so he ends up all the way here in the Atar sector. I know. But he had the throne guild to pay for it.
We don't really get that many burials here. I mean, we do have. We only really have our small cathedral here with some mausoleum beneath it. That's the highest profile you're gonna get on this planet.
The instructions I was given was to just make sure that he was on a toon world in this sector, as far away from his family as possible, as is reasonable and what he could pay for. I mean,
Talos
he could
Drake
not...
was his name.
Oh, thank you. Yes, Drake. And no, he specifically wanted to make sure that the rest of his family would have to spend exorbitant amounts of money to get whatever he was interred with. So no opening of a casket. I've been told many, many times by his executor of his will that is going to remain.
If there's no family, we don't need an open casket.
Fantastic! Glad to hear it.
But payments.
Oh yes. We have the credit transfer here, data pad. If you will sign there and there and there. Also date underneath the third one. Thank you. And no, this will all be taken care of shortwith. I am so fascinated by your mining operation around here. I do dabble in transport, not just in personnel. So your alchemical processing, I'm quite interested in.
Well, we are not involved in that. That's the war effort. The governor runs.
Of course you're not. Don't mind him. He's just nosy. Tries to get a tour no matter where we go. In fact, you'd be doing me a favor if you could figure out who I need to talk to arrange it for him. It'd save me rather the headache of doing it myself.
Well, you can basically run down to the administration, and they will have trade offices. You know, like.
Oh, but don't you know anyone there? Don't you have friends or anything?
Well, The only one I talk with is the governor himself. Other than that, we keep to ourselves. We are here on a long watch, a very long watch in his name, and we don't dabble too much in the day-to-day runnings here. It's all too troublesome. Well, other than the weekly sermons, of course.
Oh, of course. A long watch. Well, good. Keep your eyes open.
No,
And,
they have important work. The dead don't keep to themselves. Again, pardon my humor. It comes from a long line of a dark family. But enough about me. I'm so delighted. Do you think I could possibly meet with the governor? Discuss some of the business detailings, especially with the processing station. It seems to be a bustle of energy.
Well, we don't really get a lot of rogue traders here, so I guess he wouldn't mind setting up a meeting. And then Donnie, he intervenes and says, "Yes, definitely, we could set up a meeting with the governor and probably get my chief in there as well for you, if you want
that's
to."
Fabulous. I always liked to meet representatives of the Arbites. I learned something new about the Book of Judgment every single time. Now then, it's been wonderful standing with you all, but I do have to get a roll on. It pulls out a day I've had with a timer. I guaranteed for a bonus to make sure that he was interred in a specific amount of time, and clock's ticking. So, if you won't mind, I need to be hefting and making sure that the old man gets to his final reward.
He was in rather a rush to see the Emperor in his last few days.
Zephania's helmet is staying down.
Mm-hmm.
And she's getting, she's observing very closely where they can't see anything of her other than just the armor and the helmet. And she's looking for any signs of the purpling, and any sniff of heresy or of the cultists.
You can all roll me an insight.
Myself included, or just those?
No, I'll get to you, Jason, when we go down to the docks.
Bastian, my insight is listed as +5. What does that mean?
That you roll a d20
+5.
and add 5.
Okay, but what am I versing it against? Or is it a DC that you're saying?
Just give me a number and I'll see who notices
19
what.
for Zephania.
Yeah.
24 for Kifkin.
Okay. The father looks bored. Like he's obviously been here a long time and doesn't actually care about the trade. It's almost as if it's like get on with it. We'll bury the body, but he doesn't show any signs of ulterior motive. Donnie himself, he is observing constantly, and that's as much as you're getting from that. So. Do you need any transport? I think we can arrange a local van or something for you.
Oh, a local crawler would be delightful. Haven't roughed in one of those in about 3 years. But yes, that would definitely help us since we're transporting two. That, and if the Growler has room for a few servitors to help with labor, that always helps. That sounds lovely. Thank you so much.
I can also. He says something in his comlink and arranging transport.
Zephania's going to stay with the bodies.
Okay.
She's going to stay right there at the cathedral, and she's just kind of keeping an eye out, wondering how this managed to grow here, and see if she can see if it's been allowed.
If you stay with the bodies, you'll notice that there's, apart from the priests, there's deliveries coming in and out, and most of the people that do deliveries also have clean-shaven heads, gas masks, and when they come inside, they pull them off.
She's just going to keep a lookout for any sign of the purpling or what they noticed among the other cultists.
Yeah.
Anything that might indicate that behavior.
Okay. Then I'd say we could go down to Jason before you drive off to the governor's palace, well, cathedral. Jason.
Yay, splitting the party.
Splitting the... Oh, that's okay. The rest can go get a drink or something.
Yeah,
I never mind splitting the party as long as people get to enjoy the session. So, Jason, where do you want to go first? There's basically on foot. You could you have the cathedral compound, which is walled and guarded, but you can freely walk in and out. The gates are open, and right outside are housings. Small. There's all kinds of stores lining the streets, and above that are most of the houses.
Great. Well, the people that look like the cultists that I now sort of emulate, given my shaved head, I'm assuming probably in preparation I would have also dusted my skin and got a tattoo.
As soon as you walk into the streets, the people walking there are all in worker clothes, most of them. There's different uniforms. Some are orange, others are yellow, some are blue. On the streets, everyone is wearing the rebreathers, and as much skin as you can see is shaved. So that's how you look as well.
Great.
Except you're not wearing a specific uniform.
Just wearing street clothes or some
some
clothes.
of them are as well. So
fantastic.
There's some public transport going on here and there. Shifts coming up from work as you walk.
I think I would be very cordial to whoever passes me, just sort of nodding my head and kind of keeping a lower than usual profile, just kind of hands in pockets, walking down the street, people watching, seeing who's making the least fuss, like somebody who's really being inconspicuous.
Well, it's not so much as people being inconspicuous here. Most of them are it's like when you're at the bus stop and everybody is doing their own thing. Any conversations going on are I hate the weather here, mostly. It's always raining acid here. Like, jokes like that are coming in.
Oh, a bunch of shinies. Okay. Yeah. I'll go ahead and take a look and see if anybody's noticed me or if they're really just so self-absorbed that they're not.
Yeah, it's like you're in the metro and everybody's going somewhere.
Oh, wow, really?
Yeah.
Then steal myself away to a place where the workers would probably be going if they just got off shift, like a bar or something.
Yeah, there's several bars in the street. Not so much right next to the cathedral. That would be like blasphemy, having a pub right next to it. But as soon as you take a couple of smaller streets, you find a bar filled with workers, and in here people are drinking They are loud. They are always complaining. They are all complaining about the hard work and about the lack of space for families. That's just the first thing you overhear, and it's sweaty. It's warm, and there's drinks.
Just growl to myself and go to the bar, throw a couple throne geld onto the onto it, and look at the barkeep. Any chance that I might procure some kicking rasvod here?
Is that like a local beverage? I have
No. It's a clear and potent alcoholic beverage, very similar to vodka. It's a Vastroyan sort of thing.
We do have strong liquors. How much did you throw on there?
Probably 4 or 5, I guess.
Yeah, he'll just line you 2 well-filled glasses, and this is what we have. But we serve what we get from. There's not too many. All we do here is the factories and imports. No. So, yeah, this is what I serve. I do have beer as well.
Just pick it up, look at it. Does it look clean? At least
it's clear as glass. He has all his glasses clean, and his drinks look unpolluted. It smells like spirits, strong spirits.
Just mull over my station and down both of the shots as soon as possible.
They're pretty much almost pure vodka in terms of taste. So, first time, you're not from around this block, right?
Not around this block, no.
No. Where do you work?
Recently, or more historic?
Like recent? Are you fresh here?
No, I found myself on a rogue trader vessel. Just for a detour. Fresh back.
So you're gonna work then?
Certainly. Certainly not here to drink all the time.
Yeah.
Much as I'd like to.
Yeah, none of these are. So, you joined the union yet?
Union?
Yeah, the workers' union.
I sort of look around and try to sort of display to him my tattoo to see if that's anything to do with it.
When you show, I don't need to know your tag. I mean, you haven't heard of the union yet? I mean,
I keep to myself most times. With good reason.
Well, if you want to get into a better workstation within your lifetime, you probably want to join them.
My lifetime is no longer than a week. Why should I care where I end up dead?
Well, it's up to you. Most of these guys, most of my regulars, they've been here for 2 or 3 years more. We get some fresh guys here in this neighborhood as well. Most of the fresh newbies, they're stationed on the outposts. I mean, turnover's high there.
Marvelous. And who might I speak to if I wanted to join?
Well, the union's headquarters, they're like, he names a street name, which you wouldn't know.
Yeah. Is there anybody here I could talk to?
Yeah, just Dave, come over here. Then Dave comes down. Dave is with a very raspy voice. Yeah, what?
You sound marvelous.
Yeah, that's take the mask once.
Yeah, then I throw a couple more Throne Guild onto the bar. Anything for him?
Usual, and he serves the same shots as you got. He serves him one and a glass of ale next to it, and he shoots down that one and he sits down. So, what's up, newbie?
Not a newbie, per se. Been here for a while, about year or two.
Okay.
Found myself messed up with some rogue trader nonsense.
What's it?
Oh, usual. Apparently someone needed somebody to do something. So, they settled on me. Stuck on a ship for... Not what I'm here for.
Okay, so... Why did you call me? What do you want to know?
Well, come back and I hear something about a union.
Oh,
Don't know if I can get in.
I was too late, else I would have had a better reason.
So who do I talk to?
Well, you can just go down the street. He names the exact same street. You sign up there, and they'll make sure you don't die in your first shift.
Luckily, it's not my first shift, but fine. I want to insight check him.
Yeah.
I want to see if he's on the level or if there's something that he's not telling. Alright, so that would be an insight skill check. Got to get one of these big dice right here and roll it. Nat 20 and plus my insight, that's 32.
What he's probably not telling you is that you'd probably be fine without the union as well. But other than that, his cough is real. You can smell that as well, and he isn't drunk yet, but he's on his way.
I sort of stand up and straighten out my clothes, dust myself off. Wish I could say I was considering it, but I put a hand on his shoulder. Your pitch has fallen flat.
He drinks it away in one go. You want anything?
So get the fuck out of here. And I turn on my heel and just walk away.
He looks after you and no one follows you.
I want to see what the sign-up looks like, to see if anybody's stationed there.
Okay.
Or if it's just literally like a fucking bulletin board.
Now, if you go down to the street, you can find it, and if you ask directions as well, it's you would estimate that the capital holds around 50 to 60,000 workers. So that will give you an idea of how big the housings are, and with a 15-minute walk you can get there, or you can take one of the transports, get a bit closer.
Sure.
Once you get there, it's actually one of the nicer buildings, right in between a hub of housings. Like
Sure.
all the housings are apartments. They're almost like a favela in terms of how they're built above each other, and but
Right,
they're
on top of
sturdy.
each other.
They're sturdy. It's actual construction. It's not, but it grew naturally as the worker size increased there, and the outside of the building has actually been cleaned. The other buildings, not all of them. They're drips of streaks of acid rain, and as you enter inside, there's a desk, and there is a lady behind the desk.
Take off my rebreather and go over, hands in pockets, kind of look over the desk, see what's on it.
There's a name tag, Lisa, in front of her, and there's a cogitator, a computer right next to her, and mostly paperwork for the rest. A comms device. As she looks up.
Do I see anything in the way of cameras on the ceiling or any sort of surveillance?
No. It's the inside of this building. It reminds you of an actual office building. Well, if you've ever been in an office building, it has. There's some pictures of. There's a worker of the month up to the left. There's a whole row of them.
Who is the worker of the month? Is it Lisa?
It's not Lisa.
Oh.
and it's
hey,
not Dave. The worker of the month. Who would it be this month? Maybe Chet can help us out and give it a name.
Employee of the month. First it was name occultist, now it's name employee of the month.
Yeah.
Bob is always the employee of the month.
Bob the worker, like who is employee?
Who is employee of the month?
And they're further down the hallway. There's some people talking in work uniform.
Is there any way I could see what they're saying, or like try and hear them?
Well, it's these two. Yeah, you can also roll me a perception.
Sure.
If you want to overhear them from this distance.
From this distance? All right. That's a 13 plus a lot. So it's perception?
Yeah.
23.
23. You can pick up words like it's too dangerous. We need newer rebreathers, like right in between some other sentences you can't. And the stuff is old, mostly tool related.
Look back to Lisa and sort of nod my head.
How can I help you? my female voice is right. Like, I'm not gonna do it. So,
no, please.
Long day. How can I help you?
Doesn't seem like you can. Can't even get new rebreathers.
Oh, we're probably working on it. Are you a member?
No, I'm not actually.
Oh,
Just a
you want to
consensus.
sign up? We offer many benefits. Only like 5% of your pay, and we make sure you don't die too fast before you can cash out.
5%? A whole 5%.
Only 5%.
Only.
And for that, we can arrange you cheaper housing, better rebreathers, better tools. Well, we don't know what tools. What do you do anyway? What's your specialty?
None of your business, as far as I'm concerned.
How can we help you then?
I sort of growl, look around. I don't know. Could help me with my rage problem.
How? You need medicine?
Is there anything that's vaguely lead pipe shaped anywhere near here?
The halls are clean and empty, but there's like a coat hanger.
Coat hanger.
Yeah, coat,
All right.
coat stand.
If I'm not mistaken, we can use hero points to modify a scene, right?
Yeah, definitely.
All right. I'll go ahead and say that on my way there, I ducked into an alleyway, spending one of my hero points, to grab what looked to be from a sort of scaffolding, what looked to be a sort of hefty leaden like pipe.
Mm-hmm.
And with that, I want to take it out and smash the cogitator with it.
Oh, jeez! Why? What did you? Why did you do that?
Like I said, rage problem, and I continue just smashing the crap out of it.
So you're already a member? You're not?
Don't need to be a member of a useless organization. And I clear the desk with the lead pipe.
Will you let her run away?
Oh yes, I want her to run away.
She flees in fear. And within a minute, there's several workers in uniform running down the hallway with, well, one of them is holding a chair, another one is holding like a big wrench, and they're approaching you.
All right. Is there a chair
Alright.
that's sort of the chair that Lisa was sitting on? I'm going to kick that down the hallway and sort of yell back. You do nothing for us, and take almost everything, what little we have. Know my face, and know my name, and know that you're a disappointment. And I'll continue smashing the desk a couple of times before bolting out.
Okay. So you bolt out just before they reach you.
Mm-hmm.
They, what you get back from them is pretty much, get out, what the fuck are you doing? That's the first thing they yell back at you.
Righting wrongs. I stand sort of above them with the lead pipe and kind of wild-eyed.
To stand off with the wrench in this chair. And
My name is Publius. I am the voice of a disappointed mass. Work harder. And with that, I'll go ahead and try to swing at the head of the one with the wrench.
all right, make me an attack roll.
All right.
Because it's just you and them, we're just gonna alternate initiative.
10 plus powers. What would this be? Fighting?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's I think that's a straight 10.
A straight 10.
Yep.
You catch him off guard, and you graze his head, and let's see if he actually. Yeah, there's like a tiny scratch. He just ducks back in time, and
Good enough.
and then that was the guy with the wrench, right?
Yes.
And as you do that, the guy with the chair, he leaps in and tries to hit you. Oh, and I need to roll inside the box. 11. Is that enough to hit you?
I do not know. Where would that be?
Yeah, in this on your character sheet, there is a box called. You can either dodge or parry the chair.
Dodge or parry. Okay.
And it's 10 plus your dodge or parry rating.
I'm gonna try and dodge that, and that's 15.
15. You easily avoid the chair.
Shake my head and tisk. If you're this shit in a fight, I'd love to see the work that you do. And I try to beam the guy over the head with the pipe. The one that just attacked me.
That just attacked you. Alright. Okay.
That's a 9.
A 9.
I'm so scary.
Swing and a miss.
Oh.
What proceeds is the guys that try to jump you, the 4 of them.
So there are 4. Oh dear.
Yeah, there's 4. The way this works in the with mutants and masterminds, you can make coordinated attacks, and you make a teamwork out of it. Every single participant rolls their skill or attack roll
Oh no!
against, and anyone that rolls that succeeds adds 2 to the lead roller, and that's how they can attack you. They add to the effect, not the attack roll. But whoever misses doesn't add to the effect. And if they succeed with more than 10, then they get 5 on the effect. If they have the advantage. So I'm just gonna roll 4 and see how many we get. We get 2 18s, which will hit you.
Which will hit, yeah.
And the 14 and the 6 will miss. He will hit you with an effect of 1 plus 2 from the teamwork. So basically, they mob you and they start bashing in on you. And you can roll me a toughness to resist damage, which is measured in effect.
Okay. So let's see
we get
here.
to formal combat, I'll take a bit more time to proceed to steps.
My toughness is 0. Okay.
Okay.
So this will be a
straight roll. You roll to resist the damage, and
right.
the difficulty is 15 plus the effect rank, and the effect rank in this case is 3. So you roll against an 18. If you roll 18 or higher, you take no damage.
Okay. I'll use my second hero point here.
You can use it after the roll. See if you roll good first.
Yeah. Oh yeah, sure. I'll be fine. I won't be fine. I'm going to use that extra hero point because that's an 8.
And the more you are under the difficulty class, the more effect it will have. Just like we saw last week with 2 weeks ago with Calvin.
Yeah, it's not going to be great. Oh,
so
darn it!
Using your hero point, whenever you roll below 10, you add 10 to your roll for a on your reroll. So you can reroll it.
You? I keep missing the little. 19.
So that's 9 plus the 10 because it's below 10, giving you 19. You have no bonus. You take no damage from the initial clubbing you get.
I'm probably not going to be that lucky second time.
You're out of hero points.
Yeah, I'm out of hero points. I'm surrounded by 4 dudes. One of them got a chair. I think 4 witnesses is enough. I'll go ahead and I don't know how this would work, but I'm going to try and throw the lead pipe at the one that I damaged and run.
Okay. So how this would work is you normally I could actually just look it up as well. It's been a while. That's okay. Where is it? There it is. So you have a movement action and a standard action.
Okay.
And if you attack and then move, I think it's called disengage here. It's been a while. I should be better at this, right? If you want to outrun them, you will roll opposed athletics, which is like sprinting.
Okay.
But you'll need your full action to actually outrun them.
Okay, then I'll do that instead. I'll just sort of like back away from them with the lead pipe and sort of showing them that they didn't actually hurt me, and just kind of pound my chest at them and sort of say, you say that you work for us. Show yourselves to be worthy of our time, of our energy. For if you don't, you'll find me here again. And I bolt.
They actually don't chase you, and they look at each other with, as you glance back, with like, who was that guy? And
I'll
bolt out.
also, yeah, if on the way out I can also smash their windows, that'd be great.
If you stop to smash their windows, they will come after you.
Good enough. I'll, as sort of like they're wondering, like, who the fuck was that? I'll smash their window and run.
Okay. You do make it out. You are not chased in the street.
All right. Dive off into an alley, drop the lead pipe, and just sort of hands back in pockets and trying to search out the next Union outpost that I can find.
Okay. And I think that's a good point to go back to our other tree.
I didn't know in Vasily's background he had such a visceral hatred of unions. Alright, sorry, what are we up to? We're
what were you?
Stefania's with the body, right? And
Stefania's with the body.
Kipkin and Matilda are going to meet the general? Is that who we're meeting?
The governor?
The governor. I know it was a G.
They You're muted.
Kipkin is muted. Kipkin is on the mute function.
We're going to meet Governor, and then we were going to. But before that, we were going to bury the bodies. So we're going to use the transport that Donnie was requisitioning for us to go out to a site, properly bury the bodies, and also in that time we can scout the area, see if there's anything out of place, then come back and have a wonderful meeting with the governor.
So you get a word back for the meeting, which is after supper. So like what would be 8 p.m. The day and night cycles are a bit longer than you might be used to here, but well, you guys live on a spaceship normally, so you're quite used to weird times.
Bastian, I have a mechanical question.
Yeah.
When Matilda does her mind reading, the surface reading, is the person she's reading aware of it? She would know by now how it works.
Yeah. Let me pull up your character sheet. Why did that go away?
Because it says it's subtle.
Yeah, basically what that means is that normally when you use constructive powers, it is visible what they do. So if you make like a unique weapon that has a force effect, you will see it as a force effect around it when you use it. When you use your power, someone has to roll a perception check to actually see that it is happening. So for the psychic powers you have, it's the smell of ozone, and then when it's mental, you don't notice it unless they roll perception against your willpower, I think. So that's
because I was tempted to surface read Donnie, but if it's likely he would notice, then I'm not going to do that.
It is possible that he'd notice, but yeah, you don't know. You haven't used it too much yet, so you don't know the success rate. That's a risk you'd have to take.
Okay, how about, is he traveling with us in the convoy?
If you allow him to.
Okay. Well, I imagine yes, because we wanted him to do the introductions. So, yeah, while it's kind of distracting because we're in a car, we're moving, and we've got gas masks on, which filter things, Matilda's going to try and surface read Donnie just to see what he's thinking.
Okay.
Just about what's going on.
Well, just like
I'll make my roll.
You'll have to make a willpower check.
Yeah. 19!
Yeah. So there's no terrorists coming out of the warp right now. So let's read back the mind reading. Basically, he has to resist your effect now, which is a DC 10 plus your effect rank. And the worse he does, the more you read. And every time you try again, you can discern more, as it's a progressive. I think I gave it a progressive tag.
I think
so he will subconsciously try to resist.
Mm-hmm.
And he
Let me
rolls
see,
a
mind
20.
reading. Opposed, will, cumulative, sensory, subtle.
Yeah, so you have to roll will against his 20.
Okay.
So if you beat his 20, you read his surface thoughts.
Do I add anything to my will, or is it just a straight
Just your
20 roll?
willpower. Yeah. Just a d20 plus your willpower.
Oh, it is plus my willpower. Okay,
Yeah.
my willpower is somewhere. 10.
That 10, yeah.
Sorry, it's our second session, still getting used to rolling and everything. This is cool. I like the system. This is fun so far. Oh, that's not good, Matilda. Can I send a fortune point and reroll that?
Yeah, yes you can.
I really don't want to get discovered right now.
We discussed that you cannot reroll the psycho rolls. They stand as they are, but the actual opposed rolls is not a psycho roll, it's an opposed roll. So.
So that would be an 18 because my thing becomes a plus 10, right?
Yeah, and then because it's a reroll with your hero point, you add 10 because it's below 10. So that makes it 28. Giving you 8 above his, which will give you slightly more than...
Excuse me.
His initial thoughts are, the surface thoughts you get are mostly about who are these guests, why am I not patrolling, and a bit deeper, you notice that he starts making a record of all the details about you, like a description. Like he's mentally storing as much about you guys as he can. He's focused on you.
On little old me. Mm-hmm. I think Matilda's impressed. Like, this guy's doing his job. And she respects that. And that's a good sign.
You do get the name, one name that comes back every now and then. So when I report back to this surface David, when I report back to David, I gotta notify him of the 4 swords, the little insignia on the swords.
Do I get any feeling about David being his boss or David being someone else that he's reporting to? Like, does he like have any mental image of David as he thinks about David?
You'd have to succeed by more to get a mental image of it. But
I think I can succeed
David,
by more.
how he refers to this is as much friend as superior.
Okay. So someone he is close to. Okay. Yeah. Interesting.
And he will, of course, roll his perception to see if. Nah, he won't notice you being there. The rest can roll perception as well. I got
a great big gas mask on.
Mm-hmm. They gotta roll 20, I think. At least.
I didn't mind if you practice. It's fine.
muted.
22.
22. You notice it again. Kifkin notices the Inquisitor is doing her thing again. You've seen this before.
I just sniff it and make some racket.
So this is after burying the bodies.
Okay, on our way back.
Yeah, well, I'd say on your way to I think you would go to a lobby to wait for the appointment.
Lovely,
Unless you
lovely.
want to go to another location first.
Just in our transit with the bodies before we're burying them.
Okay,
Just want
so this is on the way to the
yeah,
thing.
just want to get a good look at surrounding area. Get any particular note any sites that have maybe a mausoleum, maybe some ruins, maybe a cave that's overlooking one of the valleys with the lakes of acid and has a solid view of mountains and sky.
So basically, the tomb they picked for this guy is only like 30 minutes drive. It's right outside the capital, overlooking one of the bigger lakes, and it has a site on the cathedral as well, which is the cathedral is above all the other rises above all the other buildings, the governor's cathedral. And as you traverse the capital, you notice that there's a very strict security protocol. There's quite a few Arbites on the street patrolling. From time to time, there's a multi-tracked road trains with big tanks on them, passing you in transport. You're driving on one of the bigger lanes, and this part seems highly organized. There's not a lot of random traffic coming through. There's not a lot of people on foot. Most of it is industrial traffic and Arbites. And there's a mix of the Imperial Gothic architecture you're familiar with the more archaic stone buildings. And let's see. Yeah, that's what you notice. There's no wall around the capital.
All right. Just making note of all that. Seeing the level of security definitely piques interest. Usually you don't see that heavy patrolling except in certain hives. So that presence stands out. So there's something important here.
Would Safenya notice this as well? The amount of security forces, and would this look almost like they were building a planetary military?
What it looks like to you, with a military mind, they are focusing on keeping the main street clear. With the big road trains coming through, and where there are on some of the street corners there are Arbites tracked armored vehicles. They're not actually military grade, but they could probably withstand small arms. So there is heightened security, but it's not army standard at all.
There's other than the burying of the bodies, does there appear to be a reason for this? And
not that you can see from within the vehicle. Oh, you have Danny with you, of course.
Yeah. She's actually gonna ask Donnie about this because she knows that the Inquisitor has been kind of sensing his thoughts. So this is when she's going to ask him about do all pilgrims rate such security?
Well, this is not really a pilgrimage world, you know. We're more of a factory here. I mean, day to day, priests don't give trouble. Workers do.
Then why the heightened security?
Well, I'm not at liberty to discuss this with rogue traders.
I am not
Matilda,
a rogue trader.
he looks at Kivkin.
No, the lady is not directly under my employ. She's here to see to it that the navigator over there isn't heard properly. So do excuse some miscommunication. She speaks more for herself. I'm just acting as transport.
Well, you from being of the church, of course. Then let's say workers don't always listen if you work in environments like this. So you got to keep them in check.
So you've been having difficulty then?
No, we're perfectly fine. And Matilda, you notice that
But
there's in his mind, it's like there's always something with these workers.
So when you just, I mean, that's a lot easier. Just this, and she's definitely keeping note and watching. She's going to watch for any interactions between the Arbites and any workers that she sees. That's something that's now in her head.
Whenever you see interaction, it's sometimes some of them are just talking. Others are one or two situations. Workers that wanted to cross the main street are just being halted as you approach, but not so much as hostilities.
Were you having problems with uprisings or demonstrations or?
Oh, we haven't had any.
What led to this?
Against the church ever here? So, no. That's well. You want to make sure the production values keep up, right?
If you've not had, so this is proactive.
Exactly. It's to keep you folks safe.
And interesting. And she'll let it drop from there.
Okay.
But she's definitely keeping an eye on this.
All right. The track vehicle, when it leaves the capital, the main road continues on straight. In the distance, you see smokestacks of sub-factories. There's big pipes going besides the roads from here, and you take a right turn off the main road, go down a winding path past the lake to a small burial tomb, where one tracked vehicle of the church is waiting, with several priests to do the final rites.
Having rebreather, just going up. Oh, thank you all for joining us to inter these two ardent gentlemen. I look forward to hearing your own local iterations on the press. I always like to keep notes. And then just go through all the motions, observe, and then as everything's going on, since I can play somewhat distracted, get a good look of actually this valley, taking note of, aside from their obvious footprints and presence here, if around this lake there's any other disturbances.
Okay. I'll first go over the sites. So basically, there's along the shoreline. There's pump stations, small other industrial buildings. Some workers are working outside, mostly doing maintenance work of installations, but they are working. There's not many arbeids down there. Like as soon as you left the city, you haven't seen one arbeids vehicle at all, which would be common here. And other than that, what I described earlier, there's not much deviation from that.
Okay.
And in terms of ruins, that's something I did write down. Is in the lake there's inside of this big lake, you see several tops of what were probably buildings, now ruins underneath the acid lake, sulfur lake, sulfur acid. Well, I'll have to name it later. We'll see. And on the other side, along the shoreline, there's also several ruins, and one or two still non-ruined buildings, like the one you're in front of as well. So the one you're in front of is Imperial made, like recent.
The ones that are intact, is there any sense of recent usage or visitation to them?
No.
Or that they're being maintained in some way?
They do look clean, as much as the air would permit here, but there's no interference from industrial there. All the industrial buildings are separated. Most of them have a fence around them as well, but more like a chain link fence, and they're pretty secluded from all the industrious complexes. And the priests, when the caskets are out of the transports and being put inside, they start in prayer, and they recite what could be protocol. I don't know what is, because there's no like actual list of what is protocol. They start the Emperor's prayer, which goes, adore the immortal Emperor, for he is our protector. Admire the immortal Emperor for his sacrifice to mankind. Exalt the immortal Emperor for his strict guidance. Revere the immortal Emperor for his undying guard. Venerate the immortal Emperor for his holy wisdom. Honor the immortal Emperor for his holy strength. For his eternal strength. Glorify the immortal Emperor for his all-seeing eye. Praise the immortal Emperor for his unending rule. Hail the immortal Emperor, for he is our Lord and Master. Worship the immortal Emperor, for without him we are nothing. And he looks up the priest that spoke the words, a perfect wording, unlike my own. And he gives you, Savania, he looks at you, waits unless you if you let it run to almost uncomfortable, he gives you an opening to continue the prayer. If you don't, he will continue. She'll go ahead and continue the prayer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so she'll do that, and then when it's done, and she'll finish with the first line, rejoice, for I bring you glorious news, God walks among us. And
then as you enter the final rites, they leave you to the casket if you want to stay, but they go outside and have a smoke, as they do at funerals.
Yeah, she'll wait. Yeah, she's.
There's several servitors waiting to place the caskets in their
Yeah, she's there to see the bodies buried. So that's what she told them. That's what she's going to do once the servitors have done their job.
Okay.
That the remains are being handled with the proper respect. Then she'll go outside and join the others.
The caskets are being put in alcoves that weren't used before. There's caskets lining the walls. Well, there's alcoves with caskets. It goes down a while, but it's not a huge mausoleum. This. And they place it and leave. They go back to cleaning.
I go back and I'll go outside and rejoin everyone.
Okay.
Nobody can see the muscle in her eye ticking because to her, this is as close to blasphemy as it gets with these two cultist bodies that are pretending to be pilgrims.
Sophenia, what you know is that there is, if it's a myth to you, it's truth, that the Emperor's prayer cannot be uttered by heretics.
Right.
At least you believe that. If it's true or not,
yes,
you have never tested it on a heretic.
Yep. Yeah. So she's okay, and she has a feeling that that's why the priest wanted her to finish the prayer, was that he was checking her out as well.
Well, that's actually protocol. Like if you have a guest priest and you offer them the chance to say their own words, and as soon as it starts getting uncomfortable, he would have continued.
Right. Yeah. So, yeah, she's she goes back outside and rejoins everybody.
Okay.
Another job well done. Delightful. They are finally interred at rest. So, I noticed the stark landscape. Delightful natural resources, all this acid, but apparently there's a good deal of ruins about. Has anyone? I'm guessing I'm probably the first rogue trader out here in the ages. Has anyone just, probed their depths to see if there's anything of use? I'm surprised the Mechanicus isn't here, rooting about. They love trying to find old things.
Then he stands outside waiting. He responds, well, in my time here, there's been several sorties looking at newly discovered ruins, but mostly it's just dust and muck. Like, the acid rains, they tend to wash away anything left outside during a storm, flesh and bone. So, yeah. So, as soon as I heard that, I ordered them to stop doing sorties anyway. It's a waste of resources.
Oh, so I'm hearing that there's opportunity to, possibly go on a couple of digs. Not my area of expertise, but
just make sure you check with the church before you actually do, because how they are.
Certainly, I always make sure
I can
that
assist
all of
with
my.
that.
Oh, thank you. All the paperwork is cleared, but as I am not necessarily someone who does that personally, not my area of expertise, transport and commerce, more my thing. But I do have a cousin, Marcellus. He's one of those more adventurous types. I might let him know this little tidbit of information. He and his rapscallion crew might be out here petitioning. So,
why don't you do Donnie the delightful favor of not mentioning it to your cousin? Seems Donnie is very rushed off his feet. Much better things to do than babysit us.
Yes.
Or anyone else that you invite to the planet.
Anyway, I can give you, one of my men can stay with me if you need a guide. That if you don't...
we just need a transport backup. We'll wait in... I guess somewhere nice near the governor's governor's place of residence. I never know the local
the
words,
driver?
so I. No. I can most definitely drive. I'm an able fellow. Just
You can
direction.
you can take this track. I will drive with the priests back to my own vehicle, and then I won't be tonight at the governor's. That's all your own.
But you have been of fabulous service. Thank you so much. I look forward to seeing you before we dust off of this planet. As we have completed the contract, pulling out our data pad in time, and bonuses are paid.
Perhaps
We'll withdraw the
Sergeant-
rent from the costs for the track.
Oh, okay, of course. Subdivide here, and
Perhaps,
I'll
Sergeant,
see your
while-
tooth there.
Once business has been finished, you join us for a drink. Our treat, of course.
Oh, yes.
Yes. Well, why not?
Where would you recommend?
Well, there's a good pub like 3 streets down from the Arbet headquarters, where we usually do our after shift drinks.
Oh, good. More local color. But first I must rush off. Get a view of this local architecture. Get a feel for maybe the personality of its residents.
Yeah. Whatever. Go ahead.
Have a good day.
Lady, I'll take you up on a drink later. Definitely.
All right,
I'll be
then.
there tonight.
Tonight.
Yep. Okay. I'll be there.
Stefania puts a hand on Kipkit's shoulder and is just kind of gently guiding him towards the track and away from Donnie.
No. Oh, yes. I guess I should keep the thing warmed
Even
up. You never
with
know.
protection, it is not wise to remain in this environment for long.
Oh, yes. Terribly dangerous all
So,
the acid rain.
Yes, and the more one breathes, the faster one's respirator might be worn out, possibly fail.
Oh, terrible business. I guess we should get
Yes.
inside.
Yeah, she's
Matilda,
basically
for her-
telling you to shut up.
Matilda, for her part, just kind of walks quietly to the track, and she does that half turn to like look back at Donnie, just to see what he's up to, and then gets into the truck.
He waits for you guys to go. He basically steps into his own vehicle with the priests, the other vehicle with the priests, as you enter yours. You drive back to the capital?
Yes.
Okay.
Are we in the truck on our own now?
Yeah, you have your own truck now without.
Okay, this means you can run away, because I imagine we can comlink to Vasily and catch up with what our missing party members are doing.
You can go pick him up. I need to go to the toilet in the meantime. So you can go drive back, pick him up, and have a little party conversation.
Do we have long distance communication so we can talk to him through our comlinks?
Yeah.
How far away were those ruins that were intact? When you get back, that's something I want to know about.
Well, probably an hour or two. It's a big
Okay.
lake.
Okay.
Be right back.
All this impersonating is so exhausting. Just
Matilda
driving
kind of
on-
reaches forwards and like pats you on the shoulder.
And Stefania
Just
just, I mean, that blank helmet just kind of turns and looks at you.
I'm going off the records of a seneschal from back in M39 of the regalings of a certain Antonius Dracoran. and his exhaustive personality. It seems to be an archetype that some...
You fulfill the
Yes.
role very well. Now drive. Vasily!
Yes, Inquisitor.
Just as a note, and I was going to tell Bastian, but whenever he gets back, I probably would have made my way back to towards the ship to get my heavy flamer because I have some plans. But- What?
Vasily!
Just a piercing screech into my ear as I'm loading up the flamer. Yes, Madam Inquisitor.
Tell me, Vasily, how is your investigation going?
Yes, going fairly well in my estimation. Not much intelligence gathering, for there's not much intelligence to be found. However, I have learned of the existence of some form of union. Apparently, the workers are dissatisfied with the conditions under which they operate, and so I am endeavoring to show them that it can be so much worse.
Vasily, you might want to be careful in that the local Arbites have rather tight security when it comes to the workers as a preventive measure for any trouble that might
Marvelous,
be
then.
raised.
Marvelous, then whatever discomfort and disquiet I engender will certainly be stamped out as soon as possible.
Vasily, what are you up to? Specifically.
It is possible that you might also be stamped out with it.
I was not born into this world to watch darkness grow. My plan, in specific, if you must know, involves the smoking of the beehive, as it were. Set a few fires, let those that wish to lie down and submit, and those that think to fly away into the arms of chaos, be stamped out.
Vasily, be very careful that you do not get burned.
And at that point, I think you'd probably see that as you say that, he just sort of pulls up his sleeves and like, there's way more than a couple burns that are across his arms and like all that, and he just sort of looks to him. Madam Inquisitor, being burned in the Emperor's service is an honor.
The Emperor protects.
But he does not soften the blow. Sort of chuckles to himself and continues prepping his heavy flamer. Bastian, as I was telling the group, Vasily would have found himself, or would have scurried off back to the ship to secure his heavy flamer and keep it by his concealed by his side to see if and when he finds another Union outpost, he could say hi.
Well, in the capital, there's pretty much only the Union headquarters, which you were at.
Really?
Yeah.
Just the one.
Yeah.
I'll go back to the
big
comlinks.
building, but you just left at the reception.
I'll go back to the comlinks. I don't suppose any of you know where another outpost might be for this mysterious Union?
We've had little of the unions. We have been very busy burying bodies.
Ask around. I think they might be a group of interest.
If you'd like, Madam Inquisitor, I can look into this.
No. This is like off the comlink, so Vasily can't hear. No, for now, let him run around. We have business to attend to.
Do you wish me to attend with you at the? Do you wish me to attend with you at your meeting with the governor, or shall I explore the cathedral further?
Perhaps you should take some time to bond with our emperor. Enjoy the cathedral. See that it is fit.
Very well, Madam Inquisitor. Will be my pleasure.
Kivkin, what do you know about this union?
Oh, this is completely local. There are a number of unions that get formed, though usually in an industrial case, they're stamped out by the Arbites, if not the planetary governor, as they're usually a threat to production. So this being just used and fomented and not stamped out is surprising. That, in conjunction with the heavy Arbites presence, speaks of a number of secrets that must be ferreted out, most likely with the local governor. If they are not a noble of disrepute that has been sent off to this section of the cosmos to rot by their family and is trying to climb the ladder, they may have their hands in some dark pots. It'll be of some use to have this one-on-one.
Good. I would rather it not end with Vasily saying, "I told you so." Let's see what answers we can find.
Okay, so what do we have happening then?
So Matilda and Kipkin are going to go and have a meeting with the general. Vasily is busy torching things, and so Fenya is going to check out the cathedral, since the Sister of Battle is probably going to be a very ominous presence in a meeting, and she would probably have a better eye for spotting religious inconsistencies, although the Inquisitor probably would too, but she'd rather go to the general. Governor, sorry.
You would spot anything out of place easily. And Savannah, what you can gather from the church cathedral is that it's pretty standard. Well, it's actually fully standard in terms of all the reverence. There's workers coming in to pray with priests, sometimes without priests, going away. Later in the evening, there's a sermon during the meeting with the governor, and it's actually an actual sermon. There's no signs of corruption or heretics inside the church.
Okay.
Do you also go around touch people with your special?
She may just to under the guise of perhaps offering a blessing or some such thing that she may, or in the service of prayer or something like that,
Whoever you
to
do
strengthen
touch, so far you haven't found any heresy.
Okay, and she would make it an attempt to do both workers and clergy.
Yeah. Okay. You actually,
But-
the longer you stay in the church, the more at home you start to feel. Actually.
Okay.
So
A little
let's
bit
go.
of peace for a change.
I think that's also where we will make a last scene for tonight at the governor's mansion. After you've had some rations, you are brought into the administration cathedral, not administorum, but the local administration. Let me grab the correct. Here it is. And you enter through the ship, which is the long hall of the cathedral, which is it's lined with cogitators, with mostly servitors, some fully automated, others still being human. Partly there's some servitor skulls whizzing through the air, bringing notes and data slabs from station to station. There's several larger stations where you can see pump stations at the fetuses, if you look closely at them. They're being observed by servitors as well, and there's some officers walking in between them. They're mostly human. Some of them have implants, others don't. They're all working to keep this factory station working around the capital. And at the end of the ship, there's a big staircase topped with a throne, which is empty. It's a stone throne. There's no special reference to it, but there's some screens next to it. So if you would sit on it, you could see the runnings there and possibly hold a meeting if you would move all the if you would clear the middle path. And you are being led through the doors behind the throne into the governor's office, which is adorned as well. Not too fancy, no real religious paintings, mostly industrial pictures. And there's a big glass wall which shows you, which looks out over the lake, which you were at with the smaller with the tomb. And the governor is standing behind his desk, greeting you. He is introduced as Governor Malik, and I will type it down for you in the chat as well. There. And Malik, he looks like an old man, and the first thing you notice is that he doesn't appear to be breathing, which could explain the small cart next to him with oxygen tanks, with tubes feeding to a rebreather. Also houses a small speaker. It's probably what years of living in these acid wastes does to you. And as opposed to all the workers you've seen, Malik does have hair, but it's white. He's clearly close to 100, if not older, and he's flanked by two custodians in carapace armor, but they look at ease. They hold both firearms and melee weapons. And let's see. And from here you can also see the fumes floating above the lake, the acid fumes. And he greets you. Welcome. Oh, it goes through voicemail, so it's more like, welcome.
Greetings and salutations, Governor Malik. So nice of you to host us. Just in system, doing some business and interviewing some pilgrims who definitely want to be buried on this planet. Couldn't help but notice your industrial production services and the interesting ruins about here. Such a fascinating planet you have. I was wondering if you could regale me with some stories about your production services as well as these ruins. They're fascinating.
Oh, greetings. That you'll continue like that through the Fox box. And what, you were a rogue trader, I've been told?
Yes, Antonius Danica of the Danica dynasty. We may be small, but we are plucky and mighty. Most of our holdings are out in the expanse. A little bit of, Promethean production, a few colonies here and there, but we're always looking and doing more transport of goods across the cosmos, including your acid production.
Great. We can do. I can arrange for some transport for you. I can arrange for some transport for you.
Delightful. We can always use more production. But do tell about your. I haven't notice, especially pointed out by some of my compatriots, that you have a significant Arbite presence. Is there like some sort of uprising that one must be concerned about? I only speak about this because my cousin, Felius, his son is with the Arbites, and he's looking for a new post.
Well, of course, there's always some presence of Arbites needed, but none that could concern any shipments. We've got plenty of supplies. Even if we were to stop for a full year of production, we would still be able to offer you plenty of transports.
Oh, excellent. Goods are always good. But as for the ruins, those seem
fascinating,
to be...
isn't it? I mean,
Yes.
when I first came here, all these ruins were there as well, and when I came here, there was almost no production going out. They sluiced up all the liquids and just sent them off like that. And now, look at their mighty production facilities.
Oh yes, the refinement process. Always good to have that done before it's shipped out. Because I'm meddlesome. They're very interesting. Though I did hear from Sergeant Donny about
Donny, David's tool. Yeah.
That there were for a time some venturing into the local ruins to seek fortune, but that's all been curtailed.
Yeah, well, I've never set foot in ruins of significance myself, but I haven't heard of anything being found there. But you've got the license to trade anything you find, right? So.
Oh, most definitely. Want to trade, very thorough.
Oh yes, he's very good with paperwork.
Oh, greeting! It's him. He looks up behind flashing appearance. Oh, I haven't introduced myself. I'm Governor Malik.
It's delightful to meet you, Governor Malik. She offers a hand, and obviously I don't imagine he can move that much because of all the
he
stuff.
can't
So
move it. You hear some creaking when he moves forward, and he tries to kiss your hand. Who is this lovely lady?
Oh, you'll pardon me for not introducing myself. I was just admiring your view. It's rather intriguing, really, isn't it?
It definitely is. I cannot wait for not to see it anymore.
Oh, you ceding this planet to one of your family members heading off to greener pastures?
Well, I don't really have any family.
Oh, how tragic.
Yes, it is, but maybe when my work here is done, I could maybe move off to one of the leisure worlds and actually try to breathe any actual oxygen.
Well, here's hoping the Emperor finds a way for you.
I do know of a few over in the Calixus sector. If you ever can find yourself transport out there, they're absolutely fabulous. The wine on Perseus 3 is delightful.
Oh, if you could tell my staff to write it down, I'll have a look.
Oh, definitely. I think I have a data slate around here somewhere. And starts fiddling around. Again, list of Imperial pleasure worlds within the Calixus sector. Again, completely out of the way, and one of them just happens to be a secret inquisitorial reprogramming facility. That one's the best one.
If you were to try any insights, he is completely convinced he will not leave this planet alive. He's an old man.
But just getting a feel not just for him, but his staff. That's the more interesting
Yeah,
thing.
the staff are the people that Matilda's interested in as well.
Yeah. there's in this room you have the two custodians, which are actually have polished armor. His personal bodyguards, as you would find around most governors. They're relaxed. They do observe you, but they don't seem to have any ulterior motive. There's a clerk sitting in an alcove. Basically, as soon when you named the planets, he just wrote them down. And that's
Tell me,
that's all
Governor.
the company he keeps here.
Antonia skipped over it, but I'm rather concerned about the sound of this union business.
Oh yes,
Sounds rather
no,
disruptive.
No, it's not disruptive. It's fabulous.
Oh?
I mean, is this your first factory you're visiting?
Well, yes, it's my first.
Okay. So, one thing, I started out in the fields here. And one thing I noticed is that my friends kept dying. So, before I died, I made sure we got proper gas masks. But to do that, you need to come with the group. So we started the union, like some of them on my homeworld. And after years, we grew it, and as you can see, I'm still alive. So now we give them the union. Now I'm in command. I'm no longer in command of the union. I mean, they run it themselves, and then the union makes sure that I make my numbers, and they stay quiet.
Oh, so it's like a little rogue trader crew, but for the planet. I like it.
Yeah, just
Quite
for the workers.
ingenious. Oh, of course.
Yeah, at least I get to talk to one person instead of 100 at a time, and we don't need to kill as many workers as in my time when I was working. I mean, they would just round them up and throw them into the acid lakes.
That sounds very efficient. Ghastly.
It isn't. I've done the numbers because I first I became a foreman, and then they showed me the numbers of losing all the workers in like that. I mean, you gotta understand. It's very harsh to work in these environments.
Oh yes, I've had to wear this rebreather mask contraption all day.
Yes, good.
Especially
Else,
the masks.
you don't want to know what happens to the workers that don't wear them.
Oh.
They lose their first they lose their voice, and then they lose their lungs, and then they cost a lot of money to repair.
The workers on the masks.
Without the masks, the workers.
Oh, I see. The workers, yes. Repair the workers. You'll forgive my ignorance. Do tell me some more.
Well,
This is all very enlightening.
and well, that's in the grand scheme of things. I've been running this planet for 60 years now, and we've never had any uprising. Referring to you, he's referring to your uprising, naming uprising Skifkin. We never had any uprisings. We've only had to send off half of what the numbers were before to planetary or into the lake. So it's been perfect. It's been great. Of course, every few months there's like a tough time, especially when we get a bit closer to our star with the planet in the cycle. That's when conditions get harder and they get grumpy, and then we increase the presence, and then once that's done, we pull them back. We give some of the Arbeit some leave, and we get back to normal production numbers.
What a remarkable record. And yes, the Emperor's Light has a habit of warping the minds of men. Those with poor thoughts, of course.
Yes, the Thalanum star is a dangerous one at times.
interesting celestial phenomenon. But no, this is all rather enlightening and delightful. I'll definitely send word up to my Seneschal about the craft, getting some paperwork in order about possibly getting a few tons of cargo to ship off. I believe our next set of coordinates takes us to the Cape Minus system. And see about trading some things there. I do know they have some wonderful production facilities for some military-grade hardware. And, you know, acid and trade is always useful.
Well, we never sent any supplies to K-. I mean, they don't have the proper facilities to make batteries.
No, they typically don't, but horse trading amongst my fellows, you get what you want by offloading a few things, inflating price, and then skedaddle. It's just the way of business. But, you know, if you say this stuff is being refined specifically for battery production, is that what I'm hearing?
Yes. So, let me get this
Governor, if you don't mind, perhaps we can talk business while we have a look around. Maybe you would like a change of view, and I would be very fascinated to see some more, or perhaps I could take your leave and wander around a little bit. I promise to stay out of trouble.
So, what is your function for our trader? Are you
she's sort of a catch-all. I originally found her in service of a former march captain. She's both the personal bodyguard and sort of an informal seneschal. The old fellow, he's void-born, terribly paranoid, doesn't want to get off the vessel. So in the leave of this place, she is both arms master and seneschal abroad.
Well,
I'm still learning my trade.
I can arrange a tour of the facilities, but as you can see, he points towards his cart with. I am not too mobile, so I can have one of my production chiefs show you around one of the factories.
That
tomorrow.
sounds rather exhilarating and entertaining, and I'm sure very educational. And perhaps we can work out something in regards to the earlier suggestion by my captain.
And I will also arrange for one of our quartermasters to arrange the harbor masters to arrange a shipment. How much could you take?
Right now, considering we are in the middle of a bit of a run, probably only a ton this go round, and see where that ton takes us. Considering the gun cutter is only valued at, I'm planning on upgrading my transport, but you know how it is. It's only rated for about 5 tons, so a single ton should be fine.
He gestures towards the scribe and call the harbor master. He'll take care of it.
Fantastic. I do look forward to this tour that you're putting together for tomorrow, but I must say, must take my leave. All this walking about is a bit taxing, that drive. I haven't driven a growler in forever, but it does take all one's concentration.
Yeah, you've got accommodations, or you need any arranged?
No. I was planning on taking the shuttle back up to the ship. I find only my bed will accommodate me. It's a bit of a thing about, just warp transit. You become accustomed to the creature comforts. But by all means, we will be back down forthwith in the morrow to the facilities paperwork and finalized. Thank you so much for your gracious host, and I find this planet and your production fascinating. And I will definitely put word to my cousin that it seems like this planet has, well, an exotic environment, a fairly stable work. I think that would be good for him. But thank you so much.
Now, you can reach my office anytime. I will see that it's replied to in time, and I look forward to some good trading. Though I would want to. It's not that much, you know. So better get to upgrading fast. Else a second run, I wouldn't risk it.
You know what they say, Governor. It's not the size of the load, it's what you do with it. And then she'll lean a little bit closer. Don't worry. We always come back for more.
Good.
Okay, the first I could give a pass. What happened with the second?
All right. So, I think that's a good place to wrap up.
I imagine she goes outside and then she's instantly on her goes like, Vasilia, what the hell are you doing? Or, what in the Emperor's name are you doing? It's probably more accurate.
And you probably just see him at a cogitator trying to find the next outpost. Just trying to see if there's any information about where this union might be festering. Because as we know, wanting to look out for your own safety, that's a heretic move.
All right, so that's where we'll wrap up today. Today, actually, with the governor looking back over the lake of acid and eventually looking for acid in this city. So let's go around our cast and crew and see what they thought of today, what they look forward to next week. And today we'll start with Pope World Build.
Hey everybody, I'm Pope World Build, or just World Build here on Twitch. Had a wonderful time today, and thank you all in chat for being for staying with us this entire time. If you're looking for me, I'm typically either somewhere in Epic Roleplay's chat, or you can find me over on Tales from the Grim. Oftentimes from a Black Rose on Wednesday nights. I'm actually going to be heading over there just after finishing this up, as they are getting ready to launch their charity stream with Marvel Superheroes Daredevil Empire City. All proceeds are going to the National Multiple Sclerosis Society. So I look forward to catching you all there.
All right. Jason.
Yes. Yeah, fun times. I loved the session itself. It was a marvelous time had by all. I certainly hope that I'll be torching some heretics pretty sooner rather than later. And yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing all the twists and turns that await us, and ignoring them, burning a path right from A to B, and hopefully finding a good time in between.
All right, Matilda, Charlie, muted.
Yeah, I thought I might be muted. I was on another screen reading a message from someone. I had a lot of fun. I enjoyed playing Matilda as the ditzy captain's assistant. She had fun, I think, which is disturbing because she's the Inquisitor, and an Inquisitor having fun is very dangerous. But I believe all roads lead to the Emperor, and we shall drag the heretics through the fires and through the acid pits, en route eventually, probably, maybe. We'll see.
Roman.
Idle at Fun, thank you very much, Bastian, for running. Thank you to the group for playing. Thank you to chat for hanging out. And
Still
I am
gotta-
back playing
Sorry.
some more Warhammer on Wednesday nights in the 5 p.m. EST slot. That's 10 p.m. UK. And that's fantasy, so that's more grimdark shenanigans in a slightly different realm. And we're playing Dark Elves, so I'm kind of the other side of the coin. Kind of. We're not entirely heretical, but we're not entirely the good guys either. So yeah, that's me.
All right, cool. And last but not least, Cleric of Court. I'll
Oh,
try to get
I
you a
love this.
little bit more screen time next week, though.
I love playing Stefania, and I love this group. And chat is always, you guys keep us going, so supportive. I really appreciate it. You can find me on the Twitters at Cleric of Cord. Check out my pin tweet for where you can find me throughout the week. I will be back here on Encounter Roleplay on Thursdays at 5 p.m. Eastern, playing Once Upon a Time with Susanna Grace as our DM. And if it's got a quite a different feel, shall we say, than Warhammer does. As a matter of fact, due diligence is about as far as from Stefania as you can get. But so do come back and join us then on Thursdays. Anytime I get to play with. Yeah, true. Yes, very true. Very true. Yes, they both quite well armored. Due diligence is a warforged. So, but I love this. This is so much fun. Every week it's a deeper dive into 40k lore for me, and I'm learning more, and I'm loving it. And I can't wait to take Kifkin's head for heresy. It's going to be great.
Yeah, eventually. He'll make
Eventually.
a wrong call at the wrong time.
He's going to talk just a little too much for a little too long and say
in front of the wrong people.
Yes, namely Stefania.
We'll see how that ends up. Yeah, I had fun as well today. It was a good session. I love how you look for heresy everywhere. It's it's pretty much.
That's
what you
because
do,
it
right?
could be everywhere.
It could
Indeed.
Be, yeah, exactly.
Indeed, we know that there is heresy on this planet. It came from here.
Well, yeah, it came from here, but is it still here? And where is it? And how dangerous is it? Do you need to burn it?
We'll find it.
Probably.
You'll find it. You'll
Yes,
find it.
yes,
Probably.
yes, yes.
Or not, if you spend all your hero points on the wrong rolls. And yeah, so we'll see what happens next week on Thalanum 3, I think. I don't know the number anymore. Thalanum 3. No, it was last week. We were on 5. Nalata 5, and with Governor David, the Arbach chief, and you haven't met the Union Master yet. So we'll see where we go next week. I am a Bastiaan or Vuurmannetje in Dutch, which is a fire guy. And you can find me here on Encounter Roleplay on Mondays. And I will give a link to where you can find me for the rest. And yeah, I enjoyed today. Looking forward to next week. And let's wave goodbye and hope for Charlie to push a button at the right time. Goodbye. Let's see if she's fast enough.